A fork in the road, you don't remember taking it. That's the strange thing about the turns that decided everything. They didn't feel like turns. There was no crossroads, no map, no moment where you stood still and weighed one life against another. There was just an ordinary afternoon, a phone you didn't pick up, a door you walked past because you were tired, a yes you gave without thinking because saying no would have meant a conversation you didn't have the energy for. And somewhere in there, quietly, without anyone noticing, least of all you, a whole version of your life ended. It didn't announce itself. It just stopped being possible. And then it was gone. You keep looking for the moment you chose this. But you never chose it. You just stopped choosing on an afternoon you can't even remember. For most of your life, you carried a quiet belief. You never said it out loud. You may not have known you believed it at all, but it was there, underneath everything, steady as a floor you never thought to check. The belief was this: I can always change direction later. And here's the thing you should know before we go any further. That belief was not a lie. It was true. For a long time, it was completely true. When you were 19, the doors really were all open. You could have moved to another country. You could have loved a different person. You could have become almost anyone. The belief that you could always turn served you well, because in those years, you always could. So you relaxed. You let the small choices stay small. You told yourself the big turn would come later. When you were ready, when the timing was right, when you had a little more money or a little more courage. There was no urgency because the door was always open, and an open door does not ask you to walk through it. This is what makes the belief so hard to see as dangerous. It isn't a flaw. For half your life, it was simply accurate. It matched the world you were living in, the way a young body matches the assumption that it will heal from anything. You weren't naive to believe it. You were just early. You were believing a true thing a little too long, the way everyone does, because no one hands you the moment it stops being true. And there was something almost sweet about living that way. Do you remember it? The feeling that your real life hadn't quite started yet. That this was the rehearsal, and the performance was still to come. Every unmade choice sat in front of you like a wrapped gift you were saving. You could be a person who wrote the book, or moved to the coast, or told the truth to the one you loved. You didn't have to be any of them yet. You just had to keep them all possible. And keeping them possible felt, strangely, like already having them. As if potential were a kind of ownership. As if the version of you who might still do the thing were as good as the one who did. That was the trick. Not a lie someone told you. A trick the open door plays on everyone who stands in front of it long enough. It lets you mistake the having of options for the living of a life. It lets the rehearsal feel like enough, right up until the theater empties and you realize no one ever called the performance, and the lights are being shut off one by one. No one warns you the door is closing, because it never slams. It just narrows, year by year, so slowly you mistake it for the shape of the room. That is the cruelty of it. If it had happened loudly, you would have run for it. If some afternoon a bell had rung and a voice had said, "This is the last day, you can still become that," you would have moved. You would have found the courage from somewhere. But nothing rang. It happened the way evening comes on. No single moment you could point to, just a gradual dimming you kept meaning to notice and didn't. And one day you looked up and the room was dark, and you could not say, when it had happened. So let's go into the machinery of it, because this is not a story about a bad decision. It's a story about how the most important decisions of your life were never made in the place where you make decisions. Start with the thing we get wrong about waiting. You think you have 3 options in front of any turn: yes, no, and not yet. You think not yet is the safe one, the one that keeps everything open, the one that costs nothing. You treat it as a place to stand outside the story, a neutral room where the clock isn't running. But there is no such room. Not yet is not a pause in the story. It is a choice inside the story. Every day you stay undecided, you are not freezing time. You are deciding with your whole life to keep things exactly as they are. Waiting is not the absence of a decision. It is a decision you make again every morning, a mistake for stillness. Think about what that means across years. You didn't make the decision to stay in that job once. You made it 800 times. Every single morning you got up and drove the same way and didn't do the other thing. Each morning felt like nothing, like a day you were still deciding. But nothing plus nothing plus nothing, 4,000 mornings deep, is a life. You built the whole thing out of days that each felt provisional, and not one of them felt like the day it became permanent, because none of them was. They only became permanent in aggregate, the way a drift of snow becomes a wall. And the strange part is what waiting does to the pain. You imagine that by not choosing, you're setting the ache aside for a day when you'll be stronger. You think you're being merciful to yourself, protecting the wound until you can afford to look at it. But it doesn't work that way. The ache doesn't wait in a drawer. It spreads. It thins itself out across every ordinary evening. So quietly you stop noticing it's there. You don't feel the weight of the life you're not living all at once. You feel a little of it every day for years, until it becomes simply the texture of being you. A low hum under everything, so constant you'd only notice it if it stopped. Now the second piece. We like to believe we run our lives from the front of the mind, that somewhere behind the eyes there's a person at a desk, weighing things, choosing. But most of a life doesn't happen at that desk. Most of it runs underneath, on the habits and defaults and small avoidances you never bring up into the light. The route you drive without thinking, the way you answer, "How are you?" before the question is finished. The 100 small turnings away you perform each week so smoothly, you'd swear you never turned at all. Your life was not decided at the desk where you think you live. It was decided in the hallway by the version of you that was just trying to get through the day. And that version, the tired one, the one moving through the hallway, is the one who was actually holding the pen. Not the person you are on your best morning, the one who makes plans and sets intentions. The other one, the one at the end of a long day who just wanted the path of least resistance, who chose the couch over the phone call, the familiar over the frightening, the small no over the large yes. That person was not deciding your life on purpose. That person was just tired. And that person decided almost everything. And then the last piece, the one that closes the trap. The reason you couldn't have known which afternoons were the important ones. To recognize a fork as a fork, you would have to know what waits down the other path. You would have to know what that other life feels like from the inside. The weight of it, the taste of it, who you would have become inside it. But that is exactly the one thing you can never have. You cannot stand at the turn and sample both lives like 2 dishes at a table. The only way to know what a road is like is to walk it. All the way for years until it has changed you into the person who walked it. And by the time you know, you are already somewhere. You are already someone. The other road is already gone, and the person who could have taken it is gone too, because you have become this one instead. You couldn't have chosen more carefully. To know which door mattered, you'd have had to already be standing on the other side of it. This is why the turn never felt like a turn. Not because you were careless, not because you weren't paying attention, because a real fork, seen honestly, is invisible from where you stand. It only becomes visible from the far side, looking back. And from the far side, it's no longer a fork. It's just the road you're on. The map only appears after you've stopped being able to use it. Let me tell you about a man sitting in a car. It's past midnight. He's just come off a night shift, and he's parked in the small lot behind the building where he lives, engine off, hands still on the wheel. It's raining, not hard, just enough to blur the windshield into a field of moving light, the street lamp above him breaking into gold where the water runs. He could go inside. The apartment is 30 feet away, but he doesn't move, and he couldn't tell you why. He is 43, and what's holding him in the car is not a thought exactly. It's a presence, the sense, tonight of all nights, of another man who should have been sitting here instead, a version of him who took a different shift, a different city, a different woman years ago. On some afternoon, this man cannot, for the life of him, locate. He isn't grieving anything he can name. Nobody died. Nothing happened. That's the whole problem. Nothing ever happened. That was how it happened. He watches the rain move down the glass, and he thinks there was a turn somewhere back there. He is certain of it now, sitting in the dark. There was a day the road split, and he took one side, and he doesn't remember taking it. And he can't go back and look because the day is gone, and so is the map. All he has is this, the rain, the empty seat beside him, and the feeling of a whole life idling just outside the reach of the light. He isn't crying for something he lost. He's crying for something that was never quite born, and so has no grave he's allowed to visit. Eventually he'll go inside. He always does, but not yet. For a few more minutes, he sits with the other man, the two of them in the dark car, in the rain, saying nothing, because there is nothing to say that would change which one of them got to be real. So here's where we've arrived. There's a life you're going to live, not a fantasy, a real one, close enough to touch, that ran alongside this one for years. And at some point, without ceremony, on a day like any other, it ended. It didn't end because you failed. It didn't end because you chose wrong. It ended because you were tired or busy or afraid of a small conversation, and the door was closing at a speed too slow for the eye to catch. And no one told you. There was no funeral. No one stood up in a black coat and said, "Today a whole future is being lowered into the ground." You made dinner that night. You checked your phone. You slept. And the life that could have been slept to and did not wake up. And the next morning you got up and drove the same road, and it was already quietly too late. Though it would be years before you felt it. Stay here with me for a second. Don't rush past this into a feeling about it. Just let the fact of it sit in the room. It happened. Not might have happened, not could happen if you're not careful. It has already happened. The turn is behind you. This is not a warning about a future you can still avoid. this is a report from a road you have already, mostly finished walking. That is a harder thing to hold than fear, because fear at least implies you can still act. This asks nothing of you. It only asks to be seen. And when you do see it, when you stop arguing with it, stop measuring how much time you might have left to fix it, something quiet happens. The panic drops away, and underneath the panic there is just sorrow, plain and clean. Not the sharp sorrow of a fresh wound, the older kind, the kind you feel standing in a house you used to live in, looking at a room where someone you loved once slept, knowing the door down the hall no longer opens onto anything. Somewhere behind you is a grave with no marker, and inside it is everyone you were still going to be. You don't get to grieve that cleanly because it never fully existed, so no one recognizes the loss. You can't say, I lost him, the man you'd have become, the way you'd say you lost a person. There's no photograph. There's no anniversary. Your friends can't send flowers for a funeral that has no body and no date. But you feel it. On certain evenings, for no reason you can name, you feel the shape of him standing just outside the light. Patient, unblaming, and utterly gone. Now, this is the moment the world will try to rescue you. And I want us to stay here instead, just a little longer, and not be rescued. Because someone will tell you it's not too late. They'll say nothing is permanent, that every door reopens if you want it badly enough, that a choice is only ever a trial you can undo. And it sounds like kindness, but listen to what it actually is. It's the same belief that closed the doors in the first place. The belief that the turn is always still ahead of you, never behind. Repeating it now is not comfort. It's the thing that keeps you from ever looking at what actually happened. It hands you the exact instrument that did the damage and calls it a cure. And someone else will tell you to make peace with it, to let the regret inform you instead of define you, to live comfortably beside the what if, as though grief were a roommate you could learn to tolerate with the right attitude and a good morning routine. There's a whole industry built to sand this down for you, to file the loss into a lesson, to make sure you never have to sit in the car in the rain and just feel it. I'm not going to tell you either of those things. Some doors don't reopen. Some versions of you are not coming back. And the first honest thing you can do is stop being told that they might. Here is the one thing I've come to believe, and I'll give it to you plainly, not as a cure. When the other life still feels reachable, the mind treats it as a goal, and it pulls at you like ambition. Get up, chase it, you can still make it. When it's clearly out of reach, the same pull becomes something quieter. The wanting turns to mourning. Same shape, different distance. And most of the pain people carry about their unlived lives comes from standing in the second place while being told they're in the first. Being told to chase what they have already, in their bones, begun to grieve. So the ache you carry is not a sign you should get up and chase him. It's the more honest signal of the two. It's the part of you that has finally understood the door is shut and is mourning correctly. For once, instead of pretending. That ache is not your failure. It's the truest thing in you. It's the only part that has stopped lying about the door. You don't have to fix this tonight. You don't have to turn it into a lesson. You're allowed to simply know it, that he existed, that he's gone, and that the not knowing was built into the whole thing from the start. There was never a version of this where you got to keep him. There was never a smarter, more careful you who would have seen the fork in time. There was only ever this life and the quiet company of the one you didn't live. I don't have a step for you. No practice, no refrain, nothing to do differently in the morning. I know that's not what these things usually offer. Usually there's a turn at the end where the sorrow gets folded into something useful, where you're sent back out lighter than you came in. I don't have that for you tonight, and I think you already know why. Some things aren't problems to be solved. Some things are just true, and the only thing left to do with them is stop looking away. But I'll leave you with this. Tonight, or some night soon, you'll feel him again, that other you standing just past the edge of the lamplight, the one who took the road you can't remember not taking, and the reflex will be to look away because it hurts, or to argue with him, to prove you could still catch up if you really tried, if you started tomorrow, if you finally became the person at the desk instead of the person in the hallway. Don't. Just let him stand there. You are never going to become him. That was decided on an afternoon neither of you remembers by a tired man who was only trying to get through the day. But you can stop pretending he was never real. You can let the grave have its marker, even if you're the only one who will ever see it. You can sit in the car one more minute before you go inside and let him sit beside you and not send him away. You don't have to catch up with the person you never became. You only have to stop leaving his loss unspoken. That's all. That's the whole of it. He stays outside the light, and you stay here. And for once, neither of you pretends the door is still open. Good night.